Hi there, welcome back to the Mind of Design podcast, where we are threading the needle between creativity and the depth of the human mind. This is Season 2, Episode 10, and we're titling this Mindscapes and Designscapes. And we are going to be unearthing the roots of our desires. So I hope you're excited about it as much as I am, because when you're dealing with the root of something, you deal with the actual core of why those things exist. Let me explain. So, just like anything in life, it always boils down to a system, a construct, and some kind of foundation that is established. And a lot of behavior, a lot of mannerisms, a lot of ingenuity, all of these things, they are rooted in some kind of structure. Just like we have a DNA structure, there are certain DNA patterns and paths that our bodies align with. Hence, some of us have more hair than other people. I happen to fall into the less hair category. I am bald. And so you think about these things, and I make light of it because it's funny, to me anyways, but it's interesting, the genetics and all of this. But we don't decide those things. Those are rooted there as a result of our sort of parents and history and lineage and all of that stuff. But you have no control over that. And so when you look at life and the experiences of life, we have control of a lot more than we really think that we do. And it's very interesting always for me to find out that people are usually stuck based upon a limited belief system. And you might be wondering, well, what is a limited belief system? Or you may be sort of a scholar on here and you know exactly what a limited belief system is. A limited belief system is simple. I mean, it just comes down to a system of belief that you said, well, this is the way it is and this is the way it's always going to be. And it's dangerous to be in that place. Now, it's dangerous because life is not limited. Life is only limited when you understand to a point. But then there's beyond that point. And what do you do with beyond that point? Let me explain it this way. For those of you that know this concept, awesome. Those of you that don't, even better, because you're hearing it for the first time. And I really encourage all of our listeners to listen to what we're talking about for the first time as if you've never heard it, because that's the best way to learn. That's the best way to absorb information. So I want to share this with you because there's a concept that was created. Again, don't quote me on who the person is that created it, but nonetheless, it's out there. You can Google it. And it's this concept. And it's very simple. There's what we know. There's what we don't know. And a lot of us are familiar with what we don't know. We're aware of it, and we could try to expand in that area and say, well, I know this and I know that, and you don't know. Because to know something is to have confidence and able to produce a result out of that confidence, not just saying, well, I know. Anybody can say, I know. But the proof of your knowing is your ability to produce something out of that knowledge that you say that you have. You're able to reproduce. And that is the idea there. So there's what we know, there's what we know, there's what we know, and then there's what we don't know. But then there's a third category. Ready for it? This third category is what we don't know that we don't know. And you might be wondering, well, what does that even mean? You might be hearing this for the first time again. I am sharing this with you because it is rooted in this limited belief system. Because we are ignorant to what we are ignorant to. And you say, well, that sounds like an oxymoron, or that sounds something that's a little bit bizarre. What are you talking about? What are you getting at? What are you after here? Well, what I'm sharing with you is very vital to the construct of how you can get out of this pitfall, because a lot of people are in this pitfall because they're living in the space of they don't know what they don't know, and in that space they are limited to their supply line of information because there's a whole world out there, and you could say it's weird. I had a teacher, I'll never forget it, in middle school. Great woman, Mrs. Texera. I'll never forget her. And she had said this, and it changed the way I looked at life because I was very ignorant. And she had said, we were in, I believe it was history class or something, and there was this tribe. I was just, it was weird to me. And I had said that. I said, that's weird. You know, what they were doing, certain rituals and things. And she looked at me stone-faced and was just very, like, affirmative and said, it's not weird. Never say it's weird. Say it's different. And I didn't understand at the moment. I got kind of mad. I stormed out of the class. I'll never forget it because I was like, what is she talking about? I got upset because I was like, why is she coming at me over something so simple? But yet my level of ignorance was so loud. What I didn't know that I didn't know was so loud that I wasn't able to see what was right in front of me. Just because you don't understand the culture of why people do certain things doesn't make it weird. It makes it different. And that difference is what makes us who we are. That's where individuality comes in. That's where understanding that you are not the only person on the planet. Newsflash, you are not the only one. There are way more people in the world, and you can learn a lot from culture. You can learn a lot from experience in these places. And I've had the privilege of traveling outside of the country now about 10 times, and to about, I want to say about 6 or 7 different countries. I've been in different parts of Asia, I've been in different parts of Africa, and I've also been in the Europe space. I've been around there a little bit. And again, I'm not saying that to brag or anything, it doesn't matter. But the fact is, I am an international mind. So when I'm speaking to you, I'm not coming to you from, I just grew up in Rhode Island, the United States, and that's it. No, I'm coming to you from a space of a different kind of knowledge because I have firsthand experience of different cultures in Africa. I have different experiences of different cultures in Asia, different parts of Asia. I mean, it's just incredible, the differences, and I've learned so much. I've learned about their history, I've learned about their present circumstances, and I've learned about the way they think, and they think very much different than where we are today. And all that to bring us to where we are today and what we're dealing with. Because again, for those of you that weren't able to tune in last week, we were here with you, and we were talking about the law of choice, and that's the sort of path that we've chose for this month, for the month of March. Can you believe it's already March 2024? I mean, can we just stay on that for a moment? I mean, we're in March 2024. I hope some of you have reached some of your goals and aspirations that you've set for the year, and you haven't given up. If you haven't, you ought to give yourself a clap and really celebrate yourself because you're doing well. If you've made it through the first quarter of the year, then you are doing something different. You've established a habit, and congratulations on that. For those of you that haven't, well, it's never late to start. A year does not dictate, it just gives us a clear reset. When 2025 hits, it's a clear reset. But here's the danger in that is you can follow the pattern of society and say, well, I got to wait till 2025 now because I've missed all my goals. No, you don't. Newsflash, you can start right now. Today's a new day. Simple as it is. So hopefully that helps some of you, because I know how it can be. You can get into sort of this comparison trap and whatever. Well, I'm not hitting the goals that I plan to hit and blah, blah, blah. And you decide when is enough. You decide how it works and how it ends. So let that help some of you here today. I hope it does. But here we're talking about the law of choice and the pattern of pursuit this entire month of March. So you don't want to miss what's coming because, again, we're just gearing in to this today. But what we're getting into next week is going to be just as much of an exciting time together as it is today. And we're going to be talking about next week. The title is going to be Chasing Shadows, the Art of Strategic Creativity in a World of Choices. So I hope you're excited, again, as much as I am, because what we're talking about is dealing with the patterns and the choices. These are things that we're talking about. That's why I spent the better part of 10 minutes here discussing with you that we are dealing with something much deeper. It's a root. I started with saying that it is a root. The pattern of a lot of our lives is rooted in certain behavioral things, certain modifications that we've made, and therefore we have the sum of our life as the as the blueprint that we can look back and say, well, this is the way it has been, and these are the results. And I was just having a conversation today about this, that we can optimize, we can strategize, but we also need to monetize. And monetization, I think, is overlooked heavily because we're focused so much on expansion. So we're focused on this idea of optimization. How can I optimize? How can I strategize? All of those things are great, but if you miss the monetization, you cannot truly step into those two other arenas. Why? Because those two other arenas, optimization and strategizing, those are hinged in this result pattern of understanding how things work. So monetization is able to look at the intricacies of why you do what you do, the habitual things. I mean, because when I look back 6 months at what has been, I can look at my books as a business owner. I can look at these various trends and habits and purchasing habits and whatever the case, and patterns of how I outreach and etc. And all of that is monetization. I'm able to see those things from a standpoint of first person, and I'm able to look at those things and say, well, this is working, this is not. Or I can just keep on keeping on. I'm strategizing and optimizing. And you can do that blindly. Because the eyes of every business, the eyes of every situation, I don't care what you're doing, whatever you're doing. If you're an employee at a job, you can monetize there as well, because there are patterns and paths to get you to better results. You can go from being an employee, working the shelves or working the cash register, whatever, to being the manager, to being the supervisor, to being the owner. There are patterns and paths to get there. It's a monetized system. You have to understand goals, you have to understand milestones, you have to understand deadlines, all of these things in order to hit certain things, to get promotions. And there are always these patterns and pathways in life that result in the desired outcome. But see, most people overlook these things because they don't understand the power of monetization. But that's a whole other conversation for another day, because what I'm getting into here with you today is very interesting. And I wanted to just acknowledge and apologize for just the delay here. We had a little bit of technical difficulty yesterday. So here we are at Sunday, and we're sharing this with you, this recording, and really want to make sure that you get what you can get from this. But just know that going forward, our regular time is always going to be, not usually, but always going to be on Saturday, because we're doing these in weekly cycles. So just be on the alert for that, and of course we'll inform you if anything should happen. But unfortunately, we had a unique situation yesterday that caused us to be a little bit delayed, but we're here with you, and get ready again for next week. Just wanted to give you the full synopsis of everything that's happening, because see, the world is all about change. The only guarantee in life is that things are going to change. Whether you like it or not, whether it's in your favor or not, it's going to change. Wait for tomorrow, the weather might change. If it's raining today, it might be sunny tomorrow. If it's sunny today, it might be raining tomorrow. It might be snowing tomorrow if you're in New England. I mean, you never know what you're going to face. It could be cold, could be warm, but is that going to affect the mood that you have? Is that going to really affect the impact that you're going to have in the world? I think not. But for some people, that is the case. They're going through life and they're experiencing certain things, and they're having certain habits happen because they do not understand the power of their belief systems. Their belief system dictate everything in life that they're going through. I don't care what it is that you're faced with. It all comes back down to a belief system. The belief that you have or you don't have is resulting in the next steps that you have to take. Those next steps are hinging on that belief system. Always remember that, because it's important. So we're talking again about Mindscapes and Designscapes, unearthing the roots of our desires. So as we're delving into this, and we're looking at some of the different territories of this, and we're discussing some of the patterns of life, we're looking at this from a different lens, because remember, it all comes back down to what we can control. I have this saying, and I've adopted this from a networking group that I'm a part of. I won't disclose the networking group, but I will share that there's an individual, a peer in that group, and we have these weekly Zoom calls and in-person meetings and so forth. And he said this, and it really stuck with me. And I said, I'm gonna use that. And he said, okay, great, let's use that. So what he had said was, he says, I'm controlling the controllables. I like that. I control the controllables. See, people are trying to control everything, and that's why they get nothing. When you try to control everything, you miss everything. But when you can control what is controllable, what does that mean? Well, the things you know that are absolutes, things you know that are there, that like, this is well within my purview to manage, to maintain, to focus on, to build on, to strategize on, to optimize on, to monetize on, all of those things. This is a controllable. But all of these other things might not necessarily be the controllables. So why are you focusing on them? Why are you so emphasized on those areas? Because you are, just like most people, stuck in a space of this is the way it is, and we need to deal with this, and you become consumed. It's like this consumption of information that's irrelevant to where you're going. You have a goal, you have a path, you have a mission, you have a statement. All of these things, you're on a specific flow. And it gets interrupted because you are so distracted by, well, I got to do this and I got to do that. Well, do you? Or is there a way to step away? If there's a way to step away, then do so. Why? Because when you step away, you're able to step into the space of looking at life. Like I've been sharing this entire time today. And that's monetization, understanding that monetizing is a key instrument in anything that we do, especially when it comes to the roots of our behavior and the roots of our strategizing and all of these things. So as we look at this a little bit deeper, I want to share with you some ideas and some strategies and even some thoughts, because it's interesting. Because for one, why do some designs feel just right while others leave us cold? See, the answers are very simple. I mean, they lie in our psychological makeup. They lie in the idea of the colors that evoke emotions, and really to the shapes that signal safety or danger. Every design element speaks to us, tapping into our deepest desires and fears. This is true. In life, in business, whatever the case. I mean, there are things that draw us, and there are things that deflect us and bring us to a place of, I don't want to deal with that. And it all comes down to colors, sounds, different ideas about a thing. I mean, there's all of this stuff that intertwines in design. That's why design is so powerful. And so we can draw inspiration from Carl Jung's theory of archetypes. If you haven't heard of his theory, well, you're going to hear it first time today. So congratulations. So we see how universal symbols and themes play a pivotal role in the attraction to certain designs. These archetypes are embedded in our collective unconscious guide of preferences, often without us even realizing it. Think about this. They're in our unconscious guide. They guide our preferences. What are preferences? Preferences, well, the important word here is the pre, because they are before. References, so pre-references. You got to think of this word now. It's very powerful, because our preferences are pre-inserted based upon the unconscious collective belief systems. Very, very powerful. And we need to understand that these are the roots to the patterns of why we do what we do. And it's understanding that in this we are able to build or we are able to tear down based upon these simple truths that will either promote us or demote us. Very powerful. So our personal experience, the culture, and even our monetary mood influence our design choices. These are intricate variations, and they dance between the ideas of personal shapes that are unique in the design landscapes and also the idea that they're rooted in the sense that we are building something. They are rooted in the sense that we are establishing something. They are rooted in the sense that not only is it shaping the way we think, but it is building us to a place where we are concrete in our convictions. And as we are there, we are able to live a life. And our life is the now culmination of everything that we've built to that point. And so you watch people sometimes, they have certain habits and patterns and cultures and things, and all of those things are a result of the immersion of where they've been, what they do, daily habits, daily goals, daily ideas, things that happen that they don't even realize because it's unconscious to them. And it's our unconscious that we need to be more conscious of, because what we unconsciously do needs to be reflected upon. Because if we want to look at our life and say, well, it's not working, or it could be better, then we can look at our patterns and the pathways to which we've chose. Because we don't realize sometimes some of the things we do is really, it's like, how did we get here? Like, where did this come from? It came from a result of a place that we decided that this is the way it's going to be. And in that place, we've set our marker. We've set our anchor. We are not moved, or not easily moved, I should say, from that place. And then that becomes the foundation. Whether we like it or not, it's there. But if we want to design our life in such a way that it is producing the volume and the ideas that we want it to produce, then we need to look at it from the perspective that it could just be that the foundational roots of everything that we do, everything that we are, is sort of off. It's not aligning with where we want to be. A lot of times we do these things, again, they're unconscious to us. And that's the most just dangerous place in many cases, is our unconscious belief about a thing, because we don't think about those things. That's why they're unconscious. And so consider the work of Elizabeth Gilbert. She was writing her book, Big Magic, and it delves into the creativity process. And she suggests rather that our attractions to certain forms of creativity are divine in nature, a kind of cosmic matchmaking that aligns our innermost desires with our creative outputs. And you can see that this perspective offers the lens through which to view our design preferences, why we do what we do, why we like what we like. Have you ever thought about why you like what you like? I mean, really, be honest with me now. Have you ever thought to think? Here we go. I like that. That's provoking. Have you ever thought to think why you think the way you think? Sort of a tongue twister. If you ever have, then congratulations. You are in the state of possibilities, because you're able to rewrite your history. But if you've never thought about it, then you're in a place where you need to take some notes about yourself and reflect. Take a few moments and just consider some things. Why do you do what you do? See, how do we harness such insights? Well, it all begins with, of course, observation, and then it really brings us full circle to introspection. And by understanding this, we can really draw our attractions to a place where we can craft designs that not only meet a need, but also connect on a deeper emotional and psychological level at the core. And so, as we continue here and as we bring this in, I want to look at some things with you briefly. And I want you to take the minimalist movement in design, for instance. It's very popular. I know a lot of minimalist people. I mean, they don't like a lot of things, and that's fine. That's awesome. I've found myself, I'm not a person that is per se a minimalist. it's not saying that I'm addicted to things, either, but I have a quality of desire for things. I like regal. I like high end. I like very nice things. I like what it does for me when I have a beautiful Ethan Allen bookcase, and I have some gorgeous crystal on my desk, or I have some kind of clawfoot desk, and I have some kind of Asian-inspired buffet hutch, and I have different kinds of books about around the world and different art, and Gaudi, and some of the great names in art. I mean, I have so many of them, and they draw inspiration because I'm able to look at them and say, wow, this is amazing. This is the mind of this person in a book. I'm able to look at the Michelangelos, for example, the Da Vinci's. I have these books, and they draw me to a place of inspiration. I'm able to look at them. So I wouldn't call myself a minimalist by any stretch of imagination, because I'm not. I'm definitely not a minimalist. I am a person that desires the best and quality. Things that are assets, things that are going to inspire. I have a globe. I have different kinds of lamps and things. And again, all of these serve different purposes. Why? Because it draws certain inspiration. Because I've been, like I said, to different continents and different countries. I've experienced things. I've been exposed to certain different things that most people would not have, given that they haven't been traveling where I've traveled. And again, I haven't even started yet. So, I mean, but when you really step outside of the country, you appreciate things so much more from a different perspective. But that's another conversation for another day. But as we look at this here, this idea of minimalist, it really, the appeal isn't just in its aesthetic simplicity, but it's in its ability to reduce cognitive overload, offering a sense of calm and clarity in an increasingly complex world. So that's why psychologically it's believed that it can benefit the heart and its widespread appeal. It's able to benefit so many different health factors in our bodies and so forth. And again, I'm not one of these people. I draw inspiration from assets and having things. So I mean, what I have is all quality, and anything I have that's not, I get rid of it, because I need to draw inspiration. My mind is constantly thinking. My mind is constantly expanding and growing and considering, how can I make the world a great place? I always want that around me. I draw inspiration from those things. So as we conclude our journey through the Mindscapes and Designscapes, remember that the roots of our design preferences are as complex as they are fascinating. So by rather exploring these depths, we can unlock the potential to create designs that not only look beautiful, but also resonate on a profoundly human level. A level where people can experience us based upon our choices and the things that we like around us. It's very fascinating. So I want you to consider with us, as we draw this in, to connect with us on Facebook, the Mind of Design Podcast, or in our group. It's a closed group for designers only. So those of you that are designers in different capacities, we want you there. We want your mind on things. So connect with us there. It's called Designers Collective World Changers. So you don't want to miss that there. It's a group on Facebook. Connect with us on there. Those of you that are, of course, designers. And to continue unraveling the mysteries of design and the psychology of why, and share your insights, discoveries, and how you're applying these concepts in your daily work. So, as always, I want to thank you for tuning in today into our episode and into the Mind of Design podcast. So join us next time as we continue to explore the intersection of design, psychology, and the creativity. of that design pattern. So until then, stay curious and stay inspired.